Once your linoleum is all the way carved, you're going to print your design. So print your block. And you're going to need a few things to do that. So you're going to need your block, okay, and some paper. Printing paper, you can use regular paper, but printing paper is a little bit different in that it is meant to take ink off of something. It's not meant to be drawn on directly. So I do find that I get really good prints on printing paper. You're going to use water soluble, that means you can clean it with water, block printing ink. People tend to think that paint works just the same. It doesn't work just the same because paint is meant to dry on the first thing that you put it on, and ink is made so that you can transfer it from one thing to another and it will dry after kind of a waiting period. You're going to get some plexiglass, not the plexiglass that is on our tables dividing you, but just I have pieces of plexiglass, and this is called a brayer. Some people call it a roller, but it's actually called a brayer. To print, you will first shake up your ink just because these sit for a while and you don't want them to separate. So shake it up just a little bit before you open it. And then you're going to put a line of ink, just like that. Okay? It doesn't need to be a lot. A little goes a long way with this. You just put a line of it and then use the brayer to spread it out. So you're going to go in one direction, then the other direction, and keep doing that until you have a nice even kind of square of the ink on the plexiglass. And then you have your brayer is all inked, so that's what we call it. You inked your brayer. And so now you're going to roll the ink very gently on your block, because you do not want to push the ink down into these spaces. You want it to just sit on top. And go in two different directions to just make sure that if there are any low spots in the brayer or low spots in your linoleum, that everything kind of gets an even coat. Okay. Hopefully, you don't get it into any places, but sometimes you do, and it actually has a nice effect. Sometimes you do it and you don't like it, and then you just wash it off. It's water soluble, so you can wash it. You're going to leave your block on the table. Okay, this is where printing is different than stamps. You're going to leave the block on the table and put your paper on top. You can do something called registering. If you want it to be in a certain place, you can line it up, but I don't really need to line it up with anything. I'm just going to set the paper gently on top and then apply pressure. I'm going to kind of rub the back of the paper in circles. This is called burnishing, just to make sure that the ink transfers from the block to the paper. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, you can kind of peek, and if you feel like I have some spots that aren't transferred enough, I'm going to push down a little bit more on those spots. I can hold this here and lift up the other side. It's getting pretty good. Burnishing is like probably the most important part to getting a clean print, making sure that you don't have any blank spots. Okay, so I think I've done enough. I can pull this off here. There's my print, and I notice I have some light spaces. My daffodils came out pretty good. My tulips came out really nicely. At this point, if I notice there's anything I don't like, I can't add more spaces in, but I can carve more. So I'm noticing that on my bottom daffodil, there's a little space that's like wider than I would like it to be. So I could choose to go in and carve that again, or not. You can make as many prints as you want, but you need to make at least 3, so you can re-ink your block, making sure to, like last time I don't think I had quite enough ink, so I'm going to make sure I get a little bit more. I don't want it to be in the same exact spot, so I'm going to move my paper over a little bit. So hopefully I get a cleaner print. Very often with printing, your second or third print is better than your first print. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. It's a lot darker, it's a lot cleaner lines. That one spot on my daffodil is still bothering me, so I may go back in and carve that again later. But for now, I'm just going to keep printing it as it is, so that I have my 3 prints. Like I said, usually the second or third one is the best. So I have my first one, which is really light, my second one that is better, and then my third one is kind of an in-between. I think I like that one the best.